This video is a general introduction to using registers. To follow along, open the working file called landworks_basic banking. QuickBooks creates a register for most accounts in your chart of accounts, and the registers look a lot like a checkbook register, and they show a list of transactions that occurred in the account. QuickBooks also creates a register for each of your customers that shows only the transactions associated with that customer. And we talked about that in some of the videos on customers. So here we're concentrating on account registers. And let's just go ahead and open up the chart of accounts. And let's double-click the accounts payable account, just so you have a register to look at. So some people might prefer to enter transactions directly into registers. For example, instead of using the Enter Bills window, you could enter the bill as a line in the register. So some people just might find the direct method is a little faster. Let's close this register, and I'll show you all the ways that QuickBooks lets you open registers. So you just saw that we could double-click a register in the chart of accounts. You could also select an account, right-click, and choose Use Register. You could select the account and go to Banking and choose Use Register. Or finally, close the chart of accounts. You could click Check Register on the home page. How could you ever get bored having so many ways to open a register? This is my favorite way, Check Register. This only works for banking accounts such as checking, money market, or savings. Let's click OK. Every time you enter a transaction, such as a bill payment or a deposit, QuickBooks makes an entry into the appropriate register. So if you make a payment on a credit card, QuickBooks logs the payment in the credit card register. If you write a check to pay a bill, QuickBooks logs the check in the register for the checking account you used. All the registers basically work the same way, but the column headings will vary depending on the type of register. So let's briefly go over some of the ways you can navigate a register. If you click Go To, you can select if you want to find a payee, if you want to find a transaction by number, by what's written in the memo, or by amount. You just select it from this menu. So if you select Payee Name, you can choose the payee from this list. If you chose, say, amount, you could enter the value you're searching for in the Search For field. Let's go ahead and cancel that. So the Go To works only for the current register. If you wanted to find a transaction across all registers, you could go to the Edit menu and choose Find, and this will search all registers. Let's close. Using the Page Up key on your computer, you can go up the register by several transactions, so I think it's 3 transactions at a time. And Page Down goes back down. If you press Home 3 times, you go up to the top of the register. And the End key works the same. So let's go to the bottom, press the End key 3 times. And this is where you would enter a new transaction. When you click in a date field or the number field, you could press the plus sign to increase the number, or the minus sign to decrease the number. If you were in a date field, works the same, plus to increase and minus to decrease. Or you could just hit T and QuickBooks enters today's date. In an amount field, you could click the equal sign to open up a little mini calculator. After making your calculations, you would press Enter to put the result in the field, or press Escape to leave the calculator without inserting the amount. Okay, let me explain some of these things down here. The Splits button will open up the transaction line so you can split the amount among different accounts. And you would click the Splits button again to close the Splits area. And the splits only work for expenses on checks and credit card charges. If you wanted to enter splits on other transactions, you could click it and choose Edit Transaction. And then you would enter your splits down here. Selecting one line will display the transactions on one line instead of two. And this just lets you see more transactions at once. And here you could change how the transactions are sorted. Clicking Restore removes any changes you've made and restores the transaction to its original state, and clicking Record will save the new transaction or saves the changes you made to an existing transaction. One more thing I want to mention, and that is the checkmark column. A checkmark in this column tells you the cleared status of a transaction. So I'm going to scroll up until I can see some transactions that have cleared. And this means that the transaction has been reconciled and cleared. If you see an asterisk, it means you've marked the transaction as cleared, but you haven't finished the reconciliation yet. In another video, we'll go over reconciling your account.